Road and bridge levy dropped from 23 mils down to 16. And the way we got it right now, we're dropping it down to a little under 16. And that would put him back up to 18. So that would kind of put him not totally in between those two levies, but a little higher than last year.
Okay.
So,
I don't know what his thinking is there, but
well, I know he called yesterday and was upset with us that we didn't allow him to have the two 25%. So, like I said, we're going to check with the state.
Once that money goes in there, we can't do anything else with it, right?
Once it goes into road and bridge, yes, you're right. It's road and bridge or in his reserves. So the other option would be, I would highly recommend that we go up to the lid. Because if we don't, we're reducing our lid.
That's what I was just
behind.
gonna ask. I mean, just as a point of clarification, if you don't use that extra that you could in fact use, then you're just losing out on any of
That's
those
right.
monies staying with
Our
the
lid
account.
next year starts out with what we did this year.
so you want to go to the 87 points.
That would be my recommendations.
Okay.
And, but we could go back in and what we could do is into the general fund and probably the page before that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because then it could be used for the benefits and,
Yeah,
Anything.
on 7E, we
Right.
could put in a projected transfer to multi-year capital improvements of that 270,000.
I would rather see it there.
And what that does is we don't have to make that transfer. And if we don't, then that carries over and it helps us keep the levy down in future years. But if something unusual come up, being in the general fund, we can use it
Use
for
it.
whatever we want.
Exactly.
Not-
That's the way I want to go.
Okay. So, okay, well, okay, do we want to look at these other funds and then come back to the general fund? Because that's where we're going. Okay, noxious weed. Now, noxious weed, I normally like to keep it at, well, 1.5 mils. And there is a law that says that if your levy is less than 1.5 mils, and this is page 9, if your levy is less than 1.5 mils, then you've got to sell all your chemical at 75% of cost. But if you levy 1.5 mils, it's your discretion what you sell it for. So that's the reason I like 1.5 mils. Well, with what he submitted there in budget, that is a little over 1.5 mils. So do I want to stick some more revenues in there somewhere to get us down to the 1.5 mils? It is the 109,300 all right?
I think so.
Okay. So,
no, noxious weed is the one where DJ was looking at that other position.
He talked about trying to increase his budget a little bit to hire a part-time,
Full-time.
full-time individual.
yeah, he gave us two budgets actually. One of them was 97,300 and I used the higher of the other two.
Okay, so that should appease his needs.
And the lower one didn't have that new position in it. The one that I've used has got the new position in it.
Okay.
All right.
And so let's see here. If what do I need? 118, 857 plus minus 96. So I'm bringing that back down to $1.50 million even then.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's where you want to be so that he.
Yeah, that's the minimum I want to be. Yeah. So, okay, then we've got the hospital, which is 6 mills, and that is outside the tax lid. And that's what we've been doing on the hospital. And then we've got the PVC, 6 mills, and that is outside the tax lid. So, then these other funds are non-tax funds, so I just put either what requested budget or what I think ought to go into that. So, okay, let's go back to the general fund. And page 7 is really your second sheet. These are out of the budget forms, and page 1 through 6 are things like tax lid and debt and things like that at this point didn't need to get for you. Page 1 or 7, you can see we came into 2018 with $1,100,000. The first line up there, unencumbered cash. The second, coming into 2019, we came in at $1,300,000, and that's what's really made this great to work on this budget, is because we increased our carryover.
Yeah.
So even spending our full budget in 2019, we should carry over about $865,000
That'd be fantastic.
into 2020. And if we didn't have that, we'd be in a terrible
Yeah,
position.
and that's the way it was shaping up last year at this
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
What made the difference?
That right there, that 200 and some $1,000, that made the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. If we'd have come back to that 1,000,001, we would be talking about, okay,
Where are we gonna cut this?
where are we gonna cut? Yeah.
Was it
So-
because the valuation went up so much? I mean, a mill generates a lot more money.
Yeah, that's true.
What's gonna happen when the valuation starts going down? Because land values are going down.
Then what's gonna happen is the levy will go up. In order to raise, our lid is not based upon the mill rate, it's based upon the dollars levied. And so valuations go down, to get the same amount of dollars as the previous year, our levy has to go up. And at that point, then that's gonna be something for you guys to determine, okay, are we gonna go ahead and try to keep our levy about the same, and even though we're gonna get less dollars, and brings back some of this money out of these reserves that we've got set up. And so okay, then the next page, this shows all the revenues. Now, the way the budget forms work is on this last column, 2020. If you look at the bottom there of that page 7, total receipts, or let's look at total resources. 5,000,002, 5,000,004, 1,000,004. Well, the reason for that is the way these budget forms are set up is we see what other revenues we got, what our carryover is, what our expenditures, our budget expenditures is going to be, and we subtract the two numbers to come up with what the taxes levied needs to be. So if you look at the next page, we're at the bottom there on that 2020 column, that's where it's forcing it out and saying, okay, this is the taxes required. We're going to anticipate about a 3.5% delinquency, and so therefore we need to levy that 3.4 million. So, okay, let's go to 7B. And appraiser. Does that look all right?
Yes.
Okay. Ambulance.
Do we need to change the personnel services?
Well, I'm just looking at personnel services and wondering why it's going down 32,000.
Well, cause he moved that to equipment and reserve, I think. Cause this was Reed that did this, remember?
Yeah, it's not allowed then.
We got 182,000 for, in the current year budget, and then, yeah, 2020 on that personal services cut back. Do you want to kick that back up?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. 182, or you want to go higher than that?
Well, it's not, right, it wasn't raising anything, it just,
No, he's
Right.
staying within the.
He's staying within his current budget, but he's gonna add a full-time position. And with the benefits and everything figured in, yeah, let's go back to the 182.
we have a new director of EMS.
Yeah, that's what I, okay,
We'll need to change the capital outlay to stay.
And transfer to equipment reserve.
Yeah, transfers,
drop that to 15,000 then,
yes.
okay. Okay, now that's gonna reduce our total budget, from 314,300 to 307,000. You wanna kick a little something, I would say that contractual services needs to be kicked back up to where it was last year.
Okay,
Well,
Wasn't he gonna have to buy some
yeah.
Yeah, he's looking at
It needs
some
to
new
go to the
equipment,
some
capital
new
outlay.
equipment that he was, that's why he moved that.
So we need to go to capital outlay with that additional.
Okay, put another 7,300, so he's at the same level as last year,
Yeah. keep
Yes.
him-
okay.
I mean, like, if we can get to the 315, because we're taking, let's see,
You wanna go up to 315,000,
because,
add 8,000 in there?
I mean, he was saying that there was equipment that they needed.
Yes.
And then there is, some mention about some expensive equipment that might need to be replaced.
Well, that'd at least
And
give you a
so-
$700 increase
okay,
in budget, so,
let's do that.
okay. Election. I'm surprised you weren't any higher than that. That's a major election year.
Well, I think we're gonna be,
That's one that on a presidential year is the highest of the 4 years, and then it comes back down, and then, the next year back up, and then back down, and then that presidential, so.
It's up to you.
You should have Ryan come down and see what he thinks.
Live within that.
It may not be a bad idea.
On that,
Have Ryan come down and take a look
Oh,
at
we
what.
shouldn't have Ryan come down and look at this ambulance budget.
okay, I'll text him.
Maybe I'm wrong, but see what he's thinking on. I know he doesn't know what we're needing for equipment, but is the personal services, is he figuring at 182 or is he figuring at 150?
He's figured it off for current years.
Which would be 182, he'd have to, he wouldn't have that 150 number yet.
yeah, I'd think you'd want the 182, and the one that I'm questioning is the contractual services. If you spent 75,000 last year, why are we only budgeting 65,000?
I don't,
I'd
I'm a
say,
little confused.
I'd say we need another 10, 12,000 there, too.
Well, let's come back to it if we can get. Ron
Yeah,
up.
that's my
Yeah,
thought, if we
yeah.
have him come in, come back to it. Okay, election's okay, commissioners, same.
Yeah.
What?
We need a raise, that's for sure.
Clerk, looks like a little increase.
Okay,
Treasurer, not much of an increase. Attorney, no increase.
it's the reason we keep her,
Okay.
not costing us too much.
Register of deeds, no increase.